In one of the most horrific acts of anti-Semitic violence the world has seen in recent times, dozens of Israeli Jews were beaten, thrown into the river, run over by car, and at this moment, several are reported missing in Amsterdam, all for the crime of attending a soccer game in Europe. Also this week, the Knesset passed a law enabling Israel to deport the family members of convicted terrorists if they knew about a terrorist attack ahead of time and refused to report their relatives. As you can imagine, this has made Palestinian-Arabs raging mad, and rightly so. After all, if your brother is about to mass murder people and you refuse to call the police and then you get deported, you'd be mad too. Let's get into all of this. I'm Luke Hilton, and this is the Israel Guys. Welcome to the Israel Guys, where we believe that in a world of anti-Israel propaganda and Jew hatred, you should have a direct connection to the land and people of Israel. Guys, go ahead and subscribe, hit those notifications. Let me know in the comments if you're a new viewer. Happy to have you with us today. Before I dive into an ongoing pogrom that's happening in Amsterdam as we speak, I want to invite you guys to do something. We have a new opportunity. The war in Gaza, hopefully it's almost over. Israel is currently defeating their enemies in Lebanon. I believe that 2025 is going to be a first opportunity in many years for millions of pro-Israel people to come to the land of Israel. If you want to change your life, have an amazing experience in the Holy Land, I want to invite you to come to Israel with us. We have about I believe it's about 7 trips to Israel scheduled for 2025. And you can check all of them out at serveisrael.com. We'll put the link in the description below. Please come to Israel. We know it'll change your life, and we'd love to have you come to Israel on one of our programs. That's serveisrael.com. We'll put the link in the description below. So there's an ongoing pogrom happening, awful pogrom happening in Amsterdam. And the news is changing even as we speak. But so by the time you watch this, it might be even more updated. The Israeli soccer team, Maccabi Tel Aviv, was playing Ajax. But after the game, hundreds of Israeli fans were leaving the stadium and they were attacked by violent Muslim thugs. They were chased down in the streets. They were beaten and kicked. Some of them were forced to say "Free Palestine" before they were let go. By these gangs. There's video of these gangs and violent thugs following people, demanding to see their passports and their IDs just to check if they're Israeli or check if they're Jewish. One man, in an awful video, I don't even think we can show it because it's too graphic, was run down by a car, just run down by a car in the streets. And it took the Amsterdam police at least 30 minutes to respond. And this is an ongoing situation because we're talking about hundreds of Israelis. We're talking about hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of violent Muslim thugs. And they even believe this was very well organized and well planned ahead of time, because the reports are saying that outside every soccer stadium entrance or exit, there were 5 to 10 thugs waiting, and pretty much every street corner and every block all surrounding the stadium, they were there, they were planted, they were organized, and they're waiting for Jews to come out of the stadium so they could run them down and beat them. Just a few hours ago, it's almost noon here in Israel at the recording of this video. The Prime Minister's office announced this morning that the Israeli government's going to send 2 rescue planes to help resolve the crisis. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said, "quote what looks like to be a quote very violent incident against Israeli citizens." He went on to say, "quote the harsh pictures of the assault on our citizens in Amsterdam will not be overlooked. Prime Minister Netanyahu views the horrifying incident," this is from his office, "with utmost gravity and demands that the Dutch government and security forces take vigorous and swift action against the rioters and ensure the safety of our citizens." As you'll see through some of the less graphic videos that we can show you on the screen, the images that are coming out are just horrifying. Like, there's been a lot of anti-Semitism around the world in recent months, especially since this time last year. But this is definitely one of the worst. I mean, there's reports of Israelis being thrown in the river. And as you can see, we definitely know they're being beaten and dragged through the streets and run over by car. And just like before filming, there's a breaking news of a possible ongoing hostage situation in Amsterdam with several Israelis. The news have already said that there's several missing persons that have been declared missing that they cannot locate. Now those missing persons or others may be involved in an ongoing hostage situation. This looks like a former Prime Minister Naftali Bennett put on X that he said this seems like a very pre-planned, well-organized pogrom. But before this even happened, like this is not just a couple of hateful people beating up Jews. This is a massive organized riot and pogrom to beat as many Jews as possible. Geert Wilders, who leads the largest political party in the Netherlands, wrote that it, quote, looks like a Jew hunt in the streets of Amsterdam. He went on to say, quote, arrest and deport the multicultural scum that attacked Maccabi Tel Aviv supporters in our streets. Ashamed that this can happen in the Netherlands. Totally unacceptable. Muslims with Palestinian flags hunting down Jews. That's exactly what the images and videos are showing. He said, quote, I will not accept that. Never. The authorities will be held accountable for their failure to protect the Israeli citizens. Never again. According to Emily Schrader, also on X, she said, quote, so far reports of 25 Israeli Jews injured and at least 50 arrested, including those of Turkish and Iranian descent, according to the Dutch police. This means that probably mostly due to violent Muslim migrants in the Netherlands, including now Turkish and Iranian descent migrants have been arrested by the Dutch police. Finally, when they finally showed up, right? That this is a problem of violent migrants overrunning the country of the Netherlands. As you well know, it's happening all across Europe. Finally, just before we started recording, there was an update that Israel did cancel their rescue flights because they talked to everyone on the ground, figured out that it might not be necessary, but they're still focusing efforts on organizing civilian flights. They're telling all Israelis, get on a flight immediately, return home right now. I believe they even told some of them, take off any outward symbols of Judaism or of being Israeli, Stars of David, things like that. I think the Foreign Ministry of Israel opened a hotline to any Israelis that need help. And as I said, there's possibly an ongoing hostage situation in Amsterdam with several Israelis missing. So again, as you can see, if you're on social media, just the images are horrifying. We don't even know if anyone's been killed yet, but possibly killed. But just people being beaten, people being kicked, people being chased by these violent thugs, people being thrown in the river, run down by car. This is not acceptable. This is not acceptable at all. Anti-Semitism is awful. We'll get to more of that in just a second. But first,
when Isaiah said that all the nations will be streaming like water to the Temple Mount, he was talking about you, from Missouri, from Washington, from California, from Brazil, from Tunisia, from Indonesia. So if you want to connect to the essence of the whole thing, the place where God chose to lay his divine presence, you got it. This is it.
With the dawn of each new day, life is returning to the land of the Bible. And around the world, millions of believers are feeling drawn to this place. Now is the time to chart your own journey, to discover for yourself the miracle of the land and the courageous hearts of the people of Israel.
You can bring home the epic film that's changing the world's perspective on Israel today. It's been screened in over 10,000 churches, seen in 143 countries, and we think it's something you and your family will enjoy watching again and again. Click the link below to get your copy of I Am Israel, or visit IamIsraelFilm.com today. As we're looking at anti-Semitic levels rising around the globe, I do want to quickly say I'm a Christian Zionist. I live in the land of Israel today. But just if I could, a word for the Jewish people all around the world. If you're in Holland, if you live in Europe, even if you live in America, you need to get out. You need to come to Israel. Israel's doors are open wide for you. You have the opportunity to come to Israel today and live in the only national homeland, the only national nation for the Jewish people in the world. Please do not become complacent just because Donald Trump was elected or because you think things are looking up in America. Israel is the home for the Jewish people. And as a Christian Zionist, I'm not Israeli, I'm not Jewish, but as a Christian Zionist who does so much work in Israel and has made this my life, I can only ask that you consider coming home to Israel right now. Please do not think that now is the time to stay in America just because you think that things are looking up. Now is the time to come home to Israel. Israel needs you. You need Israel. Even though Israel is attacked on all sides, is the only Jewish army, the only, the first army since the times of King David operating in the land of Israel, defending the Jewish people, the only army in the world defending the Jewish people. Now is the time. Please consider coming home. Guys, the Knesset passed a law that enables them to deport and strip citizenship and residency from the families of terrorists who refuse to report them if they know they're about to commit a massive terrorist attack, right? The Knesset this week passed a law allowing the Ministry of the Interior to revoke citizenship or residency of Arabs who support their families' terrorist activities, meaning the new law, it was passed into law this week. I think it was passed on the third or fourth reading, like 2 a.m. This week, allows the Interior Ministry to revoke immediate family members. We're talking about parents, siblings, spouses, children of Israeli citizenship or permanent residency. If you're an Arab living in Israel and you have residency or citizenship, and your brother goes to commit a terrorist attack and you know about it, and you're supporting him and you refuse to report him, you refuse to call the police to help stop the attack, then you are now liable. In other words, if your father, your sister even, your child is about to go on a mass murder spree, he's going to go strap a bomb to his back and go to the heart of Tel Aviv and blow himself up, and you know about it, and you don't call the police or the Shabach or the Shin Bet, you could now be stripped of your citizenship or residency and deported from the country. Each family member will be granted a hearing before potential deportation, and they have 14 days on whether to decide if they should be deported. So it's going to be fair. It's going to be balanced. But yes, if you support your husband or your wife or your son or your father or your daughter, right, to go commit a mass terrorist attack and violence and trying to kill as many Jews as possible, and you don't do anything to stop it, then yes, you are now liable. The bill was sponsored by a member of Knesset from the religious Zionism party and two from Likud, two MKs from the Likud. In a statement, they said, quote, "From various studies conducted regarding dozens of terrorists with Israeli citizenship, it was found that the terrorists' only concern was what would happen to their families after the attack. There is no doubt that many terrorists will refrain from carrying out an attack if they know that their families will be punished for it." As you can imagine, the anti-Israel pro-terrorism regime all over the world is now raging mad, and rightly so, because if you're a terrorist or a terrorist supporter, then yeah, you're probably going to be mad that Israel is going to take steps to stop you and stop your family members, right? You have to understand something. You have to understand Middle Eastern culture. If you're a terrorist, if you're an Arab terrorist living in Israel or in Judea and Samaria, right, you do not care if you die. In fact, your goal might be to die, to become a martyr, because that's a part of Islam, radical Islamic jihadist Islam, right? Going to prison or even being shot by the IDF or the Israeli police does not scare you. Many times, these people, these terrorists, know that they're going to die, that they're going to leave their families and go die, but they also know that their family is going to start receiving a salary, a very good salary from the Palestinian Authority, and that is an incentive. Now, instead of receiving a salary, their family could actually be stripped of their citizenship or residency and deported from the country. That is a deterrent. It just might stop more terrorist attacks from happening. Bottom line, this is a very good measure and a very good law for Israel. And yes, it is democratic to kick people out who are trying to mass murder your citizens. Guys, don't forget to pick up your own copy of the I Am Israel movie. You can do that by clicking the link in the description below. As always, make sure to subscribe. Let me know what you think about today's topic in the comment section below. And as always, stop listening to the lies and propaganda and connect with the truth of what's happening in Israel. We'll be back soon here at the Israel Guys.